Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. One thing I said I love about this platform is we are live in no time. So we are live. We are live. You guys come on in the room, tag, share, and invite. It is going down. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. So I'm gonna give a minute for people to come on in the room. I know we're about we're not even gonna talk about it. We're right on time. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Tag, share, and invite. So we're just gonna stay a minute here as people coming in the room. And you guys, don't be rude. Tell us Happy Valentine's Day, okay? It's not just for married people. It's just not for people that's in love. It's just for. I see Valentine's Day as a day of love for all types of love. Love to your mother, your kids, friends, and of course, for that special someone if you have them in your life. But if you don't, you can get all the extra love to yourself. Yes. Hey, y'all. Hey, make sure you guys do me a favor as you come in. Make sure you give StreamYard permission to see your comments. All is like, pray to God it's there. Usually just click on a link and I can see who you are. Did it give a thing that show where you can give StreamYard permission? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I guess I didn't click the link for it to do.
I
I'm
see
just
it on
seeing.
there.
You see it on there? Okay, so you guys should be able to click the link to give StreamYard permission to see your comments, you guys. And we have an extremely special guest, you guys. So if you have single friends, get them in the room. Get them in the room. Don't be selfish on today. Show them some love and tag them because today, y'all, today, we're going to talk about healing you before loving him. Like, I need all y'all to be in this conversation because I don't want none of y'all in another relationship and you're not healing, you're not whole because it's gonna show itself out and we ain't got no time. Hey Tamikia, I see you got it together. What you must be hit the StreamYard. Let me know if you did that today or if it already was like just activated from previous. If you hit the button link today, Tamikia, or if it was from previous. Just interesting to know. Interesting to know. Some of you guys, I can't see your name because you're not on the StreamYard and you haven't given StreamYard permission. Okay, I do see it here now. It says, I'm going live. Please grant StreamYard permission to see your name. And as we get this conversation started, I also want to know what y'all been doing, to start off to kick for this whole Valentine's Day. Like what you've been doing with your life. I want to know. Okay, I guess that's Happy Valentine's Day. You guys will come up with the acronym quick. I see you. I see you. Thank you so much. Sherry, Kenyatta, Antonia. All right. Okay. Already from previous. Okay. Okay. Cool. But I do see the link is there. All right. We're going to get started. Hopefully everybody had a chance to share, but I have a special guest and I don't want to be rude, y'all. I got to share who is on the platform. I want to do an introduction. It's not going to be formal. It's just going to be an introduction. Okay. And we're going to get this conversation started. So again, thank you guys for giving us a shout out to the Happy Valentine's. I appreciate you. So today I have a very special guest. This has been a kind of a long time coming. We're going to do this a couple months ago, but things just didn't work out. And so we was like, okay, no, we still got to do this because I had the honor to connect with Warren. Oh God, I think I can't even remember when exactly it was, but it was for a summit that I was doing. We were doing like a marriage summit with the Greens. And me and Warren end up like doing tandem, like we were right behind each other. And it was like a divine connection because the topic he talked about, like go with hand in hand with the topic that I talked about. And we was like, listen, that was like it was like so God. It was just like so God. Like it wasn't no redundancy. It just was the perfect interlocking of information and support. And so it was like, we got to create more spaces that we can be together so we can share with this amazing community. And ever since then, we say, yep, we're going to do something. We're going to continue the conversation. But Warren, I know I'm not doing your bio any justice. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to share. I believe you are an author. I know you're a speaker. You do a lot of things to support and empower singles. So tell us a little bit more of anything else that you want to share that I didn't share. I just kind of shared how I know you.
Right. So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be on here. It has been a long time coming. We have been working on this for a very, very, very long time. And finally it has happened. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My bio is long and extensive, but I'm not a very person that like to talk about myself like that. So I'll just say that I am a speaker. I am married. I am an author, and I am retired military. I am a business owner, and yeah, anything else you want to know, you can find me on my website www.warmansbowtiefeast.com. I'd like to have fun and ready to get started. And oh
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
and to when we met, yes, it was like a total flow of conversation between you and I. So it was interesting. I always wondered, did they pair us up like that, or it just was by divine nature? Because it was just a total flow of topic and conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So shout outs to the Greens for that. It was
Yeah,
amazing. And I'm just thankful. All right, you
yeah.
guys. So we're going to go ahead and just have a conversation. So you guys, this is like you're going to be eavesdropping into the conversation. But I want you to do me a favor. Make sure you don't have to do a couple of things. But first and foremost, if you have questions and comments, drop them. So anything we share, if you like, that's a gem, you want to drop and share, go ahead and do that. You want to tag, go ahead and do that. And also, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them. We love, 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 love questions. All right. So getting to the topic of healing before someone goes out and start dating, like
Yes.
why does that even matter? Why do you think that if I'm not healed, how does that impact how I show up into a relationship?
Man, it's crazy because the last couple I counseled, one of the biggest issue was past relationships that were affecting the current relationship.
Mm,
And one of the things that I find very common in that is it's unfair to the current relationship. You know, if you so like the example, if in the old relationship he or she was working late, but they were with their girlfriend or boyfriend, but in your
mm,
current relationship, he or she is working late and he or she is actually working late. But you're thinking, well, one day this is going to happen, or I see this happen, and you treat it as such, then it's unfair to you and it's unfair to the current relationship. So it's just that's just one of the small easy things that causes problems. It's just that mindset, that living in that old relationship, you know?
yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like because of the past experiences we have, if we really don't take time to flush through and identify what happened and what led to that will allow us to stay and tolerate all of that, then we end up projecting that same, if we see a
Yes.
similar scenario situation, we tend to project that old person's behavior onto this new person, even if it's somebody totally different, and we have
Right.
no real validity or evidence to jump to this conclusion. It's just like we're going off our memory. So it's almost like that becomes part of
Yes.
how people are and what people do. And so, yeah, I totally agree that we can kind of carry the information forward and like apply it to new relationships. Almost remind me of the word God talks about not putting new wine in old wineskins, but that's exactly what we end up
Yes.
doing in that situation. Is like we take those old patterns, habits from other people
Yes.
and start applying it to this new person, and they so hopefully two different totally different people. So that's very interesting, or very unfortunate, just to be honest. Very unfortunate.
It
Sometimes
is.
we do
It
that.
is.
So
And,
what
and
would you
so
say, like, if we want to start healing? Because I believe, like you're saying, is absolutely necessary. One thing I like to say is if we don't, and I got this from Dr. Cindy Trim, if we don't heal from our past, we tend to bleed into our future. So what would you say if somebody's trying to say, I need to get I'm not saying catch my life no more. They're trying to take their life to the next level, right?
right.
So they're trying to take their life to the next level. They desire to be married. They desire to have this amazing relationships, but they have been abused in the past, whether that's emotionally, sexually. They have been rejected. They grew up without a father, and they may even feel like growing up with a father, and it wasn't an issue because I still got everything I needed and wanted, and I'm still successful. But we know that that's still 99% of the time will play out in a relationship. So what would be some of those steps are things you would tell a single woman that she needs to do before she steps out there and start dating? What's some of the things she can start doing to go through this healing journey?
Well, first thing I'm gonna say is, like you said, it's a journey. It is a journey, and it's not an easy journey. It is not easy by far. Michael Jackson, out of all the songs, one of the songs that I keep saying over and over again is when he says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Mm.
I'm asking him to change his ways. And that's honestly where it starts. You can't heal if you don't come face to face with who you are, what you did, what your contributions were, what you failed to do, what you did. It has to start right there, and it's the hardest, may take the longest, may be the most difficult, and it's why a lot of people shy away from it. They don't want to deal with the fact that I had a problem with it. I contributed to it, and granted, I'm not saying that all the responsibility belongs to you. What I am saying is accept your responsibility. Some of it, when you really think about it, peel the onion back and look at it, you do have a part in it. And so we'll cover it up, we'll camouflage it, we'll overlook it, we'll be, nah, it's all right, and not realize that it starts with me. It starts with an introspection. It starts with what I know, what I think, what I did, what I thought. Some thoughts, you know, that cause the problem. So it starts. That's the first thing. Starting with self, sitting back and doing introspection within yourself.
That's good. And it makes me think about the weekend. Actually, he at the Super Bowl, he did his thing. He was heavily criticized, which is no surprise. I'm now talking about him because I am an underdog representative. And so, but in his, what my husband was telling me, that during the weekend's performance, one of the things that he was trying to convey in his song was that a lot of times we're walking around, trying to glam up on the outside, but we really have all these wounds. And we need to put band-aids and different things to patch up all the hurt that we are
Yeah.
experiencing. And we're trying to hide it with the lashes. We're trying to hide it with the lipstick. We're trying to hide it with the nice
Yes.
hair and the nice clothes. And so we look amazing on the outside, but in the inside, we still have all this stuff that we're dealing with. We still have all this baggage. We still have all this heaviness. We still have all the sadness, depression, anxiety, discontentment, alone, feeling a sense of loneliness, and all these things.
Yes.
That we really haven't tapped into and start to unearth. And I would add to, when you talk about that self-inspection, part of that self-inspection needs to be, how can you go back in and identifying those things that's happened in your past. And you guys know I talked about that a lot. Is like, you need to identify what happened, right, and really reflect on how that impact your life, because it's easy to say, oh, it was no issue, but I strongly believe that there's nothing neutral, right? Every action has an opposite and equal reaction, period. And so we need to
Yeah.
figure out what that is. Well, Warren, did you have something before I go to the question?
Well, no, that was a good sum up, because it's really that introspection that we need to start with, and it's, you may never finish that introspection. One of the hardest and the most difficult challenges and lessons of life is learning self.
And that self-awareness is actually one of the things I teach in my program, is like, that is a core piece of it. And sometimes we don't realize how unaware we are. There's a statistic, and I don't know, this is a statistic that 57,000 thoughts that we think each day is like second nature. They're subconscious. We're not even like consciously thinking about these things. It's just like we're almost in a robotic state. So with
Right.
that being said, if we're not careful, we can just be going through the motions and not really tapping into a higher level of consciousness about who we are, how we're showing up, and what is our intentions behind the actions we're taking.
Yeah.
Before we go to this question, let me just tell you like how real this is. One time someone was having this event, that was like 50 miles, maybe not 50 miles. It was like 35 miles from my house. But where I live, that's like a clean hour, hour and a half, right? To get there, park and everything. It's a good little journey. I went there. It was a nice presentation. Nothing really I didn't know already. And then they make an offer and I didn't buy. And I got back home. I'm on my way home. I'm like, why did I even go? This happened a couple years ago. I'm like, why did I even go? I didn't buy the program. I knew what she was already sharing. I mean, what was the purpose? And it ended up taking like 4 or 5 hours of my life to go to this
Wow.
thing. And I said, Jill, you got to be more intentional about what you say yes to and what you say no to. Sometimes we
Yeah.
just saying yes to say yes. We just because we want to. Oh, I just want to go support. I want. Well, you can go support, but do you want to invest 5 or 6 hours or something that's really not going to return any investment for your life?
Right.
So I'm saying like we just have to raise our level of consciousness. And that is if you guys want to get steps, because I'm like, oh, I'm all about the steps. Go ahead and write that down as a step. Once we're saying that self-introspection is important. And another thing is raising your level of self-awareness as a result of that self-introspection, right? And
Right.
raising your consciousness of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that takes us to this question here. It says, how do you know you are healed? I thought I was healed from the not good enough syndrome, but notice it started to come back up into my relationship, what ended today of all days. Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Sound like this is perfect, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Um, the easy, like I'm telling you, the subject that we're dealing with is easy to answer and difficult to apply. So how do you know you healed? A lot of people think healing is total forgetting, but it's not. Healing is one thing is it's a process. It takes time to heal. When you know you're healed is when you don't react the same way today as you did yesterday. It could be something as simple as today you blew up and you was angry for 5 minutes. Well, yesterday, but today you blew up and you was angry for 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Honestly, that's healing. We're saying, but that's only 1 second. But that 1 second shows healing. And you just got to keep working at it and keep working at it, keep working at it. One of the things that therapists do is called a cognitive behavior therapy. And in that therapy, what they do is they face the trauma. They face the trauma, they face it, and they talk about it and they go over it over and over and over again. What you want to do is you want to be able to tell the story without all the emotion. And that's what cognitive behavior therapy does. It makes you get to the point to where you can tell the story without going through all the emotion. And that takes time. It's process. So it go back to the first step, introspection. You have to face it you have to face it up front. So how do you know you're healed? That's a trick question. It really is a trick question because you don't you don't know you're healed until you're back in the situation again and react to it. The question I would ask you, not that I'm trying to throw blame on you or anything to that or being insensitive, but when you're asking how do you know you heal, my question would be what was the same today that happened prior, and that's what you need to look at, that trend and that pattern, because that's how you begin the process of healing, finding out what it is, what is the thought, what is the action, what is the belief, what is the desire, what that's how you got to tackle that face on.
I agree. I agree. And one thing I say with this is to me is like you said, it's so easy to say, oh, do this, do that, do that. You know what I'm saying? We can shoot that all day. But the thing is in the application. But what we're going to attempt
Yes.
to do tonight is help you to give you some practical tips to help with the implementation. So what I would say, a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. So with that being said, what kind of fruit are you bearing in your life? Like taking an introspection, taking a look at the conversations you're having. What does those conversations look like? Sometimes we are addicted to pain, so accustomed to pain and toxic relationships, we don't even know a healthy relationship when we see one, or you know what I'm saying? We're so used to the unhealthy. So if your conversation is anger, bitterness, aggressiveness, fussing, raising of voices, all that is in the wrong energy, in the wrong mode. You want to really find ways to manifest more of the fruit of the spirit in your life. And I just I don't know no other way to say it. What are the fruits of the spirit? Or the fruit of the spirit? It is love. How can you be more loving towards yourself and others? It is kindness. How can you be more kind to yourself and others? How can you love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, self-control? I'm missing one, but long suffering, right? Which is patience. Like, how can you manifest more of that? Like, if every day you say, Lord, help me to increase by 1% in these areas, help me to have a little more joy, help me to have a little more peace, right? And you got to just, I mean, faith without works is dead, okay? So you
Yes.
can be asking and praying God, but you also need to be doing things. So how can you create more peace in your life? Take some stuff off your plate. Stop thinking you Superwoman and Wonder Woman out here trying to do 85 million 11 things, and you stressed out. And when you
Yeah.
stressed out, what happens is, and I'll tell you, even I feel like because I used to have anger management issues to the 10th power. I'm like way, way, way better, right? Like it takes a lot to take me off track with that. And nobody can take me off track. I can decide to, react a certain type of way. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. You have to take intentional steps to say, I'm
Yes.
going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Like I was going back to having too much on your plate, for example. Even still today, when I have too much on my plate, that long suffering, that patience, we it's getting low. It's getting low because I don't have the capacity to take anything else.
Right.
And when people try to start infringing on what I'm doing and trying to put extra load on me, it's something biological and
Yeah.
hormonally that's happening, right? That's triggering us. So it's like, how can we then guard ourselves so we don't put ourselves in a situation where we're so stressed out that if somebody says something else, we're about to explode? That's on us, boo. That's on us. So these are things that we have to do. And I know, especially the women who follow me, because you guys are a lot of times a reflection of who I am, which I am very ambitious, very achiever personality. Gotta get it, go, 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 do, let's get it. We got that Martha spirit heavy. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you guys may know the Mary and Martha. Martha was the worker bee. She was serving, she was out doing that, all this, right? Versus her sister Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus. Matter of fact, she was sitting at the feet of Jesus so long, her sister Martha was like, Jesus, like, this don't even make no sense. I'm out here breaking my neck. I'm out here meeting you. I came here making dinner, cleaning the house. And Mary just thinking she gonna sit and pray at your feet and act like she ain't got nothing to do around this house. All this work gotta be done. And Jesus was like, listen, I ain't gonna say nothing to Mary because she chose the better thing. Like, ain't nobody tell you to be doing all that. You ain't even had to meet me. I tell you, I've been coming. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we are doing it to ourselves, and it is a crisis, especially for the Black woman. It's a crisis, and we gotta stop. We gotta stop stressing ourselves the heck out. Like, time out for that. You don't have to go get the PhD today. You don't have to go get the master's degree to get. I'm all about higher level education. But if you already got 85 million 11 things going on in your life, this just may not be the season, right? I love it. And it was Doreen Rainey who first talked about the whole plate. It is your plate. You pick and choose what you put on your plate. If the plate is having so much stuff that is overflowing, you have the right to choose. You have the responsibility. You have the duty to yourself and others to take some stuff off your plate and stop saying yes to everything and start saying no. So I'm already talking too much. I'm already talking too much. Let's see if we got any other questions that coming in. And Warren, I want to pass to Mike. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. But we talked about the introspecting. We talked about raising level of self-consciousness and self-awareness. We talked a little bit of identifying the things of the past. What else does a woman need to do if she's saying, I want to date? Is there anything else that needs to be done before she get on that app? Because word in the streets is tomorrow I'm gonna be taking some people on online dating apps in celebration of my 10-year anniversary of knowing my husband and meeting my husband online 10 years from the date of tomorrow.
Oh wow.
That I want to show you guys that. But before they do that, I don't want you going out there jacked up. So we got to get it together. What else we need to do to make sure they ain't jacked up? You guys asked us some questions.
Know your boundaries. Know your own boundaries. Know what you're going to accept. Know what you're going to deal with. Know what you're going to put up with. I have a friend who's recently divorced. I say recently, but it's about 7 years. And so I said, you're a hot commodity. I said, I'm gonna call and I'm gonna check on you. But the thing about it, do not give in. A lot of times we give in out of desperation. A lot of times we give in out of loneliness. A lot of times we give in because we think that's what we want and what we need.
Mm-hmm.
But know your boundaries. Know what you'll put up with. One of the biggest mistakes we make in relationships is seeing red flags and not doing anything about them. Marriage is not a reform school. So if it's broke going in, don't expect. I'm not saying it's not going to get fixed because the two of you can heal together. Actually, that's one of the great things about marriage is that the two of you do heal together. But there are some things up front that you already know that you need to identify and address before going in. And it's not to say everything is not going to be perfect, but things need to be addressed and identified up front. So know your boundaries. If you know you don't like tall men, if you know you don't like men bald headed, if you know you don't like beards, these are your boundaries. You know, look at those things and know these boundaries and stick with your boundaries. That's very, very, very important.
I agree. And make sure, I have to say this. I have to say this. Make sure that one of your boundaries, if you are a believer, if you love God, make sure one of your boundaries, one of your standards, let's say, is that he's a believer. Now,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, it's your discretion to what level you're going to accept of whatever the God's best is that he will be able to lead you spiritually. However, you won't be condemned to hell if he doesn't. But I'll tell you, the floor at a minimum for everybody is he needs to know God.
Right.
And not just from an ideas perspective, at least know God going to church. Like, come on. Can we get to that minimum standard? I'm just
It's so
saying.
it's so many people going into relationships and not knowing the basic stuff. You see what I'm saying? I was just watching a show and all the friends were gathered together and it was right before Valentine's Day. And the girl was all into Valentine. I mean, like she's like all in. Well, she's into every holiday, and so they're all gathered there. The guy and the girl who had recently met. They was getting to know each other, and the relationship had started. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't like Valentine's Day," and everybody looked at the friend because they was waiting on her reaction
Mm-hmm.
because they know she's all into Valentine's Day. But then
Mm.
on the flip side, she says, "Oh yeah, you're right. I don't." She went along with it. But then when they got home, she was like, soon as they walked in the house, why you don't like Valentine's Day? Certain things need to be addressed up front. And I mean, that's small, honestly, but certain things need to be addressed up front. You know, certain things need to be addressed up front. That's why I say know your boundaries. You want to have kids, he don't want to have kids. You're career minded, he's not career minded. These things need to be known up front. You know, these are
I
the
agree.
boundaries. I don't believe in asking all the questions on the first date or on the first phone call, but there are things that you should be listening for and looking for before you are beginning the commitment of the relationship.
I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. And that also goes with just like being equally yoked to some
Mhm.
degree and not just, being a believers. Yeah, we are cover that, but also being equally yoked, just saying that you guys desire the same things. Making sure that you guys have a level of, okay, we both desire blah, blah, blah. because I don't know what it is. We think we can change people's mind, but people generally don't change, especially, come on, y'all. Most of us over 30, some of us over 40. Let's just be honest. People generally just become more of who they are. The only person that I've seen, the only being, person, however you want to say, that I've seen change people is Jesus.
Yeah.
And just in my experience, the dramatic changes has been few. Like, usually the drastic changes I've seen, I've only seen one that happened in a very short span of time. The others have taken years, if not decades.
Well,
So it's not like,
those dramatic changes come from dramatic situations. If nothing, if nothing causes me to change, then I will continue to go on as I was. You
that's
understand?
it.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if I
That's
wake
true.
up every morning, for example, when I was younger, every morning I drink orange juice. Every
Mm-hmm.
morning I drink orange juice, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until I'm retired Army. It wasn't until halfway through my second deployment, when orange juice was scarce, that I stopped the cycle of having orange juice every morning. If it hadn't been for that, I'd probably still be drinking orange juice every day for breakfast now. But because of that, because it got to a point to where orange juice was scarce, and I
Mm.
didn't have orange juice, and my soldiers was going out of their way to get me orange juice, I was like, this is ridiculous. So I stopped. So it
Mm-hmm.
takes something drastic for that change. If we think about Paul on the Damascus Road, Paul didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He was living his life and doing everything he was doing, following the law. And until he met Jesus on the Damascus Road, you see what I'm saying? That's when he changed. Abraham, Joseph, till he had the dream. Abraham, till he heard from God. Till God said, go to a land which I tell you. Leave the people you are. You know, it takes those drastic change. David didn't change, and when with him and Bathsheba, David did not change until Nathan confronted him. Then he changed. So if we're going to change drastic, now we're not talking about, you know, changing a couple of ways, changing a little bit of your diet, but we're talking about those drastic changes. A lot of times, I agree with you. Those drastic changes only come unless something drastic happens. I have a friend just told me she got diabetes. I've been talking to this friend for years about working out and eating better. And now that she's been confronted with diabetes, now she wants to work out and eat better. It's a drastic change.
That's true. And even thinking about it, I guess it's been, oh God, about 13 years ago for myself now, where I decided that the way I was dating and doing relationships wasn't working for me. There was something drastic that was happening in my life.
Yeah,
Um, that was like, okay,
yeah.
yeah, Lord, if you get me out of this, you know what I'm saying? It was one of those moments. It was one of those moments. And yeah, but I'm going to say this. Like, you don't have to wait till that point though, because sometimes, listen, everybody don't get a second chance. Everybody don't get a second chance. One of the reasons why I do what I do is because oftentimes women end up in life-threatening relationships and don't even know it, right? And that's a problem. And life threatening could be because of physical violence, but I've never even been in physical violence, so it's not always physical violence. It could be your emotional and your mental well-being, meaning that you could be on a path to a destructive, emotionally destructive
Yes,
marriage. So all those things you got
yes.
to say, okay, how can I don't why don't I have to wait to the blow up, because I might, know what's going to happen on the other side of the blow up. How can I do the prevention? So that's what we want to do. And so what I want to do is we're going to give like a final thing of what we're going to tell you guys to do with each of us, of how you can heal before you start healing you before loving him. We want to each give you one more thing about what you can do in that situation. And I'll start, then I'm gonna pass it on to Warren. What I would say, what you have to do to heal is that you have to change your mind.
Mhm.
You have to change your mind. Like, because of our past experience, some of us are just, many of us, let me go here. All of us have what I call, and actually I got this from another doctor, I don't remember his name at the time, automatic negative thoughts, negative thinking that we have. And we are so quick to go to worst case scenario and think about all these negative things. We spend so much time and energy on what we don't want. And this is really, if I could be honest, this is basic personal development. That's really what it is. That's what we're trying to tell you. What we're trying to tell you today is that you need to work on your personal development. So let me stick back to the mindset. So when I talk about your mindset, it's like you deciding and making a choice of the things that you're going to focus on, what things you're going to put your mind on. Like, don't focus on what you don't want. How is that serving you? Focus on what you want. Focus on what you believe God has promised you. Focus on bettering yourself. And I don't want to cover too much ground because I don't want to steal more thunder. But let me just say this. I'm going to tell you this. Focus on how can I, when I have thoughts that come to my mind that's not serving me, how can I let those thoughts go? Release them. If you got to plead the blood of Jesus, plead the blood of Jesus. If you got to say the All Father prayer, say the All Father prayer. If you got to say, Satan, I rebuke you. If you got to say, Satan, get thee behind me. That's what Jesus said. Say whatever you want to say, but don't allow yourself to dwell on things that's negative, things that's self-defeating and self-sabotaging. You have the power to control your mind. Listen, and
Yes.
for one time,
Yes.
up until about 5, 6 years ago, I never had a battlefield of the mind. I couldn't even comprehend when people was talking about that until I had that issue. So even if you have an
Mm-hmm.
issue or not having an issue, all of us have crazy thoughts sometimes that come up. You need to say, devil, you are a liar. That's not my truth. No, I won't be single forever. God says that he's going to give me the desires of my heart. And not just because whatever, because I'm doing what he says, because I'm following his guidance, because I'm being obedient, because I'm doing the things, all the things that I should be doing. That's why. And because he's not like man that he shall not lie. I'm done. Okay, Warren, any last thing you can share with the ladies tonight about what they can do to heal before healing themselves before loving a man?
Well, one of the chapters in my book is titled "The Past Before Me," and in the class that I did, it was acknowledge, act, and aim. We've talked about the acknowledge, just facing it face up, that self introspection. We've talked about the act, you have to do something about it. But then there's also the aim, and the aim is have so in I can't think of the class, but it's having a visualization of where you want to be. Um, when Jim Carrey first got started, he wrote a check for $1 million, and he dated it for a year out past that date. And he said, if I don't make $1 million by this date, then I'm going to get out of the show business. And literally to the date, 1 year to the date, that's when he ended up signing $1 million contract. It was a football player that wanted to get a certain amount of yardage that season. He changed his pin code to his um, ATM card to the yardage. So it was a constant reminder. He had something that he was aiming towards. So when we want to make that change, we
That's good.
have to have a direction that we want to go. It was Zig Ziglar. I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, what is it? If you have no target, if you have no aim, you hit the target every time. I quoted it wrong, but in other words, if you don't have anything you're aiming for, you're always going to hit the target. So know where you want to go. When we talk about healing, when we talk about introspection, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What is your target? Don't just willy-nilly just go all in any direction, any kind of way. Know where you want to go. In 1 year, I want to be able to call his name and not cry. I want to be able to walk down the hallway with my head held up high. What is your aim? Where's your target? Where do you want to be? You got to set that.
Absolutely. That was good. And I agree. You got to have that vision of where you're going. Because if you don't, if you ain't aiming for nothing, that's exactly where you're going to go. If you don't set the intentions, then it's all for naught. I also got something that came to me that I'm going to share. And it may seem harsh, but I'm just trying to let y'all know because sometimes we get stuck, ladies, and we're the source of why we're stuck. So we got to get unstuck. So y'all ready? This one is going to come hard and fast and furious. Okay. So guard yourself. If it shoe fits, wear it. If it don't, just go ahead and dodge that bullet and say, "Oh, that wasn't me." Hey, but don't let it be me. Don't let it be me. Okay. So here it is. For those that's in a relationship, a situationship, are dating somebody that they know, God ain't send that person to you. He don't even know God. He about scream and shout if you say the name of God. If you want closure, start with your legs. If you want healing, you need to have closure and you need to start with your legs. So I think that speaks for itself. But if I need to be more explicit, I'll be more explicit. You can't be loving and sexing and texting and whatever it is and all this and getting into entanglements with people and thinking that's going to heal you, because the truth is, let me say this, what I discovered in my life, and it may be true for you, I find it's true for a lot of people. A lot of times, especially for the women and men too, I'll get to them in a second. But for women, what we end up doing is we end up seeking a temporary situation of sexual pleasure, of that intimacy, of being held, just feeling the feeling of love because somebody's holding us, right? And so that's a long-term issue of belonging, accepting, and love that we all have as humans. And we seek it through a temporary mean of sex, through that temporary vehicle. And men do the same thing too, right? They're trying to be whole, they're trying to be validated, solidifying, trying to find an identity by seeing, as my mother used to say, how many women they can conquer. It's still happening. It's still happening. And so it's your job to guard yourself. And if you're struggling in that, I saw somebody put way up in the comments, they was like prayer and fasting. Yes. Yes. And I know next month we're going to be doing a corporate prayer and fast. And the same for the ones that's coming to play. We coming to do what we need to do, because some of you need to put your flesh under subjection, because it need to go on lock. Okay. We need to learn to lock it down. We need to learn to deny ourselves and deny the flesh. So at any rate, that's pretty much, that's it. That's all. I do want to give Warren an opportunity to tell you guys what his book is, how you can get his book. I also want to drop your website. I know you mentioned it earlier. I want to drop that website, or wherever you want to let people know how they can continue the conversation, and whatever you have available, feel free to share that at this time.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. It's been great. On that last thought, I'm just going to give a little nugget on that. The Bible speaks a lot about sexual purity. And there we see nowadays why. Like, you give up so much. Once you give up sex, you have nothing else left to give. You've given up your most intimate self. And so, Muhammad Ali told his daughter, all the precious jewels are valuable. And so that's what I taught my daughter. But again, thank you for this time. It's been great. Been great connecting with you, finally meeting up and getting all the your people talk to my people together and everything. But yes, Warren Mr. Bowtie Feaster is my website, www.warrenmrbowtiefeaster. I am an author. My current book is Marriage is Work. You get out what you put in. It is available Amazon, Apple, Barnes and Nobles, and you can order it on my website also if you want an autographed copy. I have a 30-day devotional coming up. It's scheduled to be out by the end of this month. It's with my editors right now. I'm working on the book cover right now, so that's the plan of that. I do have Marriage's Work, Find the Balance, coming out later on this spring, working on that also. So that's 3 books here within the next 6 months. I do have a course entitled Filling in the Cracks Relationship Series, and it's geared towards solidifying the foundation of your marriage, of your relationship, regardless of what status you are in the relationship. You can also sign every month to be a different thing. This month, the theme is Define Your Foundation. Let's see what you're building that relationship on, and then how can you construct it and how can you reconstruct it if need be. And that information is also on my website. Pretty much follow my website, and that's where a lot of things are. I'm on social media, Warren Mr. Bowtie Feaster, on everything except Twitter and Clubhouse. It's just Mr. Bowtie Feaster because they didn't want the long name. So, yeah. So
okay, awesome. All right, awesome. Good stuff, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy the conversations. Let me just double check for any more questions. I don't think we have no questions. I did want to give my condolences to Moretta. She was saying that she lost her sister and dad. My thoughts and prayers are definitely with you during this difficult time. All right. I don't think we have any other questions. All right, all right, right. Okay, well that's it. That's all. I'm not going to tarry because I'm taking my life to the next level, and so I got to get to bed at a decent hour tonight because I've been having some long nights, and I definitely got to get my rest. We all do for sure, and so we're not going to tarry. We're going to lay it here. Great conversation. Thank you so much for saying yes. I'm sure we'll be doing this again sometime in the future. Either way, continue to let me know how I can support you and collaborate with you, and we'll go from there. So everybody, thanks so much. If you haven't already, head over to the Soulmate Challenge and join that Facebook group. I'm gonna change the name. We just did the Soulmate Challenge a couple weeks ago, and so I had that name on there, but I'm gonna change it to something different soon, probably in the next week here. You can look out for that. But anyway, that's all for now. Have a good night. Thanks everyone. Be blessed.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.